Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Anay Gupta and I'm so glad to have you here today. In the last part of the video, we spoke about how to decipher the structure of a response from looking at the marks every question is worth. In part 2 of how to write the perfect A-star economic structured paper response, we'll be looking at time management because I've seen a lot of students scrimmage and scribble through the end of the examination because they have spent a lot of time really overwriting the in few initial questions. And while there is really no such thing as overwriting, because as much as you write it's always lesser than the scope of economics altogether, I will just provide you with a short rough framework about how much time you should spend on each particular type of question. And we will look through the structure and we will discuss more. Okay, now we've come here to point 2, which is time management. Now let's talk, paper by paper. So we'll talk about IGCSE first, the AS levels next, and the A levels after that. So please just skip to the timestamp in this video and look out for your particular paper. Okay, first up we have IGCSE. Okay, bullet, yeah, IGCSE. So for IGCSE, we have 2 hours, 15 minutes for 90 marks. Okay. Now here, I recommend, from personal experience, you spend no more than 35 minutes on the case study. And you do the case study first. Okay, that's what I recommend. That's what worked for me, because it's like getting 30 marks out of the way and 30 very easy marks. Now in 35 minutes of the case study, I'll teach you how to structure this. Okay, so here you start with a 2-minute skim. Okay, so for the first 2 minutes you are just reading the passage, so that first of all helps you get in the zone, releases any nervous energy that you have, and helps you to focus and get a very background idea about what topics this case study will target. Then after that, you have 1 minute per 2 marker. Okay, because 2 markers will only ask you to define or identify 2 examples of land. Now I don't think you need more than a minute to do this, because this is just fundamental knowledge. Okay, now after that, 4 minutes per 4 marker. Okay, you gotta be quick. Okay, because here they're looking for you to identify from the case study and explain. Okay, so look at the case study. These 4 markers will generally be very explicitly stated, so you'll have them handed to your plate. You just have to pick it out and give some explanation for yourself. So when you're discussing these 2 points plus explanation, these 2 points will be served to you on a silver platter in the case study, and you just have to concoct the explanation. Okay, so that's why you don't need a lot of time to write the 4 marker. Now for every graph that you draw, a graph could be complicated over here, so I advise you take 5 minutes for graph, especially because you're starting with the paper. You are a little nervous, so you might just make mistakes. So to take care of everything for the graph, take 5 minutes for the graph question. Okay, now after these things are done, the next thing that you want to do is take 3 minutes for data hunting. Okay, now what do I mean by that? Once you've skimmed through the passage, you have a rough idea about what topics the case study addresses. But we want to use data, like if there is a graph, or if for example there is a table that has numerical data, what conclusions can we draw from this? Okay, so you have to hunt data. Now for example, if there is some economic growth that's been given, has it increased over the years, has it decreased over the years? Okay, or if there is some methods or things that have, or some information that has been given to us in the paragraphs that we can use to explain or answer the later 6-mark questions, we must hunt the data. We must spend about 3-4 minutes to look for data and underline these things on the question paper. Okay, after we have found out the relevant statistics, relevant data, then we move on to the bigger questions. So here we spend about 8 minutes per 6 marker. Okay, and if for example the 6 marker is like a discuss type of a question, then you just shorten it out to a 2 for one side and 1 for the other side. 2 points for one side, 1 point for the other side. Okay, and you have the data, you have the points, you just have to frame them. And at the end, just spend 1 minute for review. Okay, throughout the economics papers, we're not gonna spend a lot of time on reviewing, because okay, the most you can do is just add these arrows at the bottom and annotate on top of the paper, make some corrections here and there. But once you have written your explanations down, there is not a really big chance you will be altering the response altogether. So just look for minor, tactical errors here and there, or just technical faults that you may have committed, like writing increase for decrease or vice versa. So just read through your answers and review your response. Okay, now after you have finished with the case study, then we move on to the 4-part questions, where there are 4 options and you have to select 3 out of those 4 questions. I recommend you spend about 32 minutes per 4-part question. And as the name suggests, there is question A, B, C, D, 2 marks, 4 marks, 6 marks, 8 marks. Okay, now how do you start answering these questions? Okay, so for the 2 marker, you have 2 minutes to understand the question and frame your answer, because some 2 markers just require a little sentence to be formed. So you understand, breathe in. Also, in these 2 minutes, you read the excerpt that is there, a short paragraph that you have been provided. So you read that and you gain a good understanding of the concept. Okay. Now, after that, what do? You take 5 minutes per 4 marker. Okay, you take 5 minutes per 4 marker. Then you take about, I could say, let's give 10 minutes. I think that should be enough for 6 marker, because that's a longer answer. Okay, just remember that the 6 marker you are writing in the 4-part question is much more longer and cohesive than the 6 marker you are writing in the case study. Okay, because the case study wants you to use data from the passage, while here you are supplying your own points. And for the 8 marker, let's say we have 15 minutes per 8 marker. Okay, and 15 minutes to plan out the response, structure the response, and write the response. Okay, and then there will be 4 minutes that are still left, and 4 minutes are to be used to choose the 4-part question. Okay, alright, now moving on to the AS level examination. Okay, where we have 2 hours for about 60 marks. Right? Here, what I recommend is you spend about 30 minutes on the case study. Okay. Same, okay? We follow the same pattern. Over here, it's gonna be 20 marks. So, you can just adjust the time here and there. Then after that, we spend 15 minutes for the 8 marker. You have a choice between, 2 20 markers. So an 8 and a 12 marker is a 2-part question. So we have choice between 2 2-part questions. So we spend 15 minutes per 8 marker, and we spend 30 minutes per 12 marker. So these 30 minutes are going to be more than enough to draw your graphs, to plan out your response, and we need 8 points, right? 5 points for yes, 3 points for no. So we need 8 points. So to write about 8 points, you have a lot of time. So 30 minutes per 12 marker, 15 minutes per 8 marker, and 30-minute case study. That is how you should be able to structure your time for the AS level exams. Now for the A level examinations, we have 2 hours again for 60 marks. How do you structure the time over here? So we take 40 minutes here for the case study. Okay, now the case study is a little different here, because here you are required to write more elaborate responses. Okay, you have 7-mark questions, you have 8-mark questions also over here. So it's not just lifting from the passage, but it's also comprehending and trying to make your own hypothetical situations over here as well. So for this, how do we structure? We take 2 minutes to skim. Okay. After that, we spend about 6 minutes on part A and B. Okay, so there are generally A, B, C, D, E 5 questions in all for the case study. Okay, so on part A and B, which are straightforward questions, about 2 to 3 marks each, you have to spend say roughly 5 to 6 minutes, because they're very easy. Pick from the passage, little elaboration maximum, that's it. Okay, now after that, you spend 3 minutes on data hunting, as I described for the IGCSE section as well. You take data from the tables, from the graphs, and incorporate them in your answer. So just underline the numerical statistics or the information that you can use in your responses for that come forward. Okay, after that, you spend 16 minutes on part C and D. So about 8 minutes each. The questions would be for roughly 5 marks, but you have to spend 8 minutes on that and treat it like a cohesive response like we did for the IGCSE exams. And then we spend 15 minutes on the 8 marker. It is similar to an IGCSE 4-part question 8 marker where we are discussing a view or explaining a view, and here I am spending 15 minutes to plan my response and answer the question. After that, I will spend 40 minutes per essay. Okay, I have to write 2 essays in all for 20 marks each, and I will write 40 minutes per essay. Now, how do I do this? Okay, bear with me because this is really, really important. We really underestimate the importance of thinking and writing our answers, organizing our answers and presenting it. But in this question, it is very important. We think that okay, I just have 40 minutes, I just have say 2 hours to write so much and I have to fill pages and pages. Let me just start writing from get-go. But in this question, I advise you to spend 7 minutes on thinking and brainstorming. Okay, you can use a mind map if you want to brainstorm. You can use tables, graphic organizers, whatever works for you. But just think for 7 minutes, okay? And why this can happen, why this cannot happen, what are the plots that I am going to employ over here. So 7 minutes thinking and brainstorming. 3 minutes, again, organizing. So this means 10 minutes, I am just planning my answer. I am not writing a word of my answer. But after that, I am going to just go on a rampage. So after that, I have a very clear structure on my answer, and then I'm going to spend like 5 minutes per plot. Okay, and then just the intro and outro could be squeezed in somewhere. Okay, intro / outro could be squeezed in somewhere, but I would like to spend 5 minutes per plot with diagram. Okay, now this is a little difficult endeavor sometimes, but yeah, with practice you'll get the hang of it. Okay, so that is how you are going to structure your 2 essays. But while practicing, I recommend you to not just aim for very cut deadlines. Try to limit yourself to like say 5 minutes less or 7 minutes less. So for example, if you're solving a case study, instead of 35 minutes, try to get it done in 30 minutes, 28 minutes also. Okay, when I was solving 4-part questions, I had the timer set at 25 minutes. So I was trained to solve my 4-part questions at 25 minutes, and it really helped because in the final exam I messed up a graph totally and had to redraw that. That cost me 15 minutes of my time. So the last 4-part question that I solved it in roughly 20 minutes. And yeah, that did turn out well in the end, but it was all down to the practice I did beforehand. So yeah, that's it for this part of the video. I will talk about the logical explanation and logical reasoning for economics in part 3 of the video because it's getting a little too long here as well. But I hope you understood time management in this video. And coming from me, I have been an A-star student myself for 2 subjects, IGCSE and 1 subject, AS level world topper myself. So trust me, you are in safe hands. And after this, if you have practiced enough, I'm sure however nervous you are, you will get that extra leeway to breathe and just calm yourself down on the day. So all the best guys for your preparation. Enjoy yourselves. If you liked the video, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments below and I will get to them as soon as I can. Thank you so much. I'll see you in part 3 of this video. Bye.